back in the 90s when my wife and I walked into a local shop and I asked to play a beautiful vintage archtop that was hanging there. Now the frets were fairly worn, but it had a cool sound, and I absolutely loved the neck. I wanted to take it home, but didn't really feel like I could afford it. Then on my birthday, well, in comes my wife with that big old Lifton case. It was a total surprise, and I've had the guitar ever since. The guitar is my 1951 Epiphone Zephyr Regent. Now, this guitar was first introduced in 1950, making this 51 a very early example. It's a laminated maple-bodied guitar, and its main competitor at the time was the Gibson ES350. Now, I've heard this neck referred to as a C shape, but it's really a very soft V. It's a three-piece neck with a walnut center stripe, and the fingerboard is Brazilian rosewood, as is the bridge. Now, unlike many of the guitars at the time, this neck, while nice and full, is not huge at all. In fact, if I were having a custom guitar built, I'd have the luthier copy this neck as exactly as possible. Now you may notice there's no truss rod cover on the headstock. Well, this is because the truss rod adjustment was under the end of the fingerboard for the first 2 years. From 52 on, it was moved to the headstock, an easy way to spot the early models. Now, there's a good reason why pro players have so many vintage guitars refretted right away. Vintage frets usually don't have a lot of height to begin with. And except those that haven't been played much, they're usually in need of a fret leveling at the very least, which, as with this guitar, can leave them way too low for comfort. So it wasn't long before I decided if I was really going to use this guitar, a refret was in order. Now, the refret was perfect. New frets are a similar width, but taller. Then about 15 years ago, the pickup gave up. So I had Pete Biltoff design a custom pickup to fit the original New York pickup housing. Well, he did a wonderful job, and this pickup sounds great. Then, last year, after storing it upright in its case for a couple of months, I brought it out and was shocked to find that after all these years of perfect stability, the pickguard had inexplicably weeped down the finish, creating a fissure in the nitro. Well, my heart sank. I called my luthier and arranged to have him take a look at it. Now, he's done some amazing things with finish repairs in the past, but in this case, it's just too big of an area, and it runs through the gradations of the burst like a dry riverbed. It would take a refinish specialist, and the entire section would have to be refinished and matched. And matching the aged original finish would probably cost a small fortune and may never really look quite perfect. So we talked it over, and the bottom line is, it's a vintage guitar. It has its share of normal wear, and I need to accept that this is just one more story it has to tell. I imagined I'd be bummed out every time I looked at it, but I actually got used to it very quickly, and now it really is just another part of its 73-year history, and I rarely think of it at all. I had to laugh when it occurred to me it's still far less damaged than a brand new heavy relic from the Fender Custom Shop. So there you go. Well, thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this departure from my usual gear reviews. I'll be back next week with another one of those. But in the meantime, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you then.